West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another quick edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm on half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and I wanted to do a little quick one of the last few ones of this week, looking at the issue of, I want to say West Indian identity, but that's not really, it's not as simplistic as that. As I'm recording this now, I haven't actually officially decided how I'm going to caption this particular video. By the time that you've clicked on it, I would have obviously decided what the caption of this video is. But in essence, it's looking at this concept as the kind of the GIF for the video says. It's looking at this concept, or thumbnail, I should say. It's looking at this concept of profit over pride. And I want everybody listening to this particular episode, whether you be a West Indian player, ideally a current West Indian player. I think if you're a former West Indian player, respectfully, this isn't your fight. Whilst you've previously had a horse in this particular race, I'm talking about the current generation. I'm talking about the current iteration of West Indian white ball stars, or more specifically T20, T10 stars. I'm more specifically talking about them, and to a lesser extent, the wider kind of West Indian professional. And I'm talking specifically about the men here, because I don't think this concept applies to the women's game in the Caribbean, certainly not yet. So I'm more specifically talking about the men's game here. The first thing I want to ask everybody watching this is this, and I expect this video to be a video that garners a lot of commentary in the comments below. So get in the comments below, and that's not me gassing myself up. That's not an ego thing. That's me saying this is a genuine debate, this episode. This is a genuine topic where I want people to give me their 2 pence worth in the comments below. And what I suspect will happen is, as often happens with the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, is that this will foster regional debate, and you're more than likely going to see similar videos pop out on other channels and mediums and media organizations, etc. Cool. Question 1. What does it mean to be West Indian in 2025? What does it mean to you? Not you, the ubiquitous West Indian cricketer, but you, the layman or laywoman. What does it mean to be West Indian? Get at me in the comments below. Is the concept or term West Indian relevant in 2025? Get at me in the comments below. For those of you like myself who are first and foremost, for those of you who are born in one of the Caribbean nations and consider yourself a son or a girl, or son or daughter, of the soil directly, do you identify with your nation only, or do you see yourself as part of a wider, in the cricket context, West Indian community? For those of you who live in the diaspora, whether in Canada, I'm talking about the major diaspora here, whether in Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, which are the top 3, and then or anywhere else in the world, who consider yourself part of the Caribbean diaspora, what do you consider yourself West Indian, or do you consider yourself only part of the wider diaspora of your particular nation? When I go to West Indies games, so last summer, the West Indies toured England, and I went to I went to nearly every day of every single match that the West Indies played. I was at the tour game in Beckenham for pretty much all 3 days, I think it was in the end. I was at Lords, I was at Edgbaston, I was at Trent Bridge. I followed these men everywhere. At every single ground I went to on that tour of England, I met Dominicans, I met Antiguans, I met St. Lucians, I met Trinis, I met Guyanese, I met Jamaicans, I met Catitians. I met people, whether players, friends, families, or just the lay punter watching. I met enough people from all across the Caribbean, all who consider themselves to be sons or daughters of the soil or of the wider diaspora, maybe born in the Caribbean, maybe not, but all part of this West Indian unity, all part of this West Indian identity. I didn't go to any of these games and think to myself, let me only find the Jamaicans and let me go par with them. Wherever I saw a West Indian, wherever I saw the maroon, I was parring with everybody there as if they were my brother, my sister, my uncle, my auntie, whatever. And I saw myself as West Indian first, Jamaican second. But what I want to understand is this. In 2025, am I living in the past? Is that an outdated concept? Are we trying to hang on to something that is no? And I don't mean the West Indies cricket team. It's big. I'm talking about almost. I'm talking bigger than the sport itself. I'm talking about bigger than what's on the cricket field, right? Am I holding on to something that has run its sell by date, gone past its sell by date? Is this a notion and a concept for my generation and the older generations before me? What do the younglings say? What do the young bloods say? The young ones coming up who are 30 and under, do you identify with being West Indian? Is it a thing to you? So what prompted this particular sermon of mine? And what prompted it was January 2025. In January 2025, I saw a bagger man playing in T20 tournaments in Australia. I'm talking about West Indians here. T20 tournaments in Australia, in Bangladesh, in Dubai, in South Africa. A whole bagger man. And I turned into an uncle. For the first time in my West Indian supporting history, I turned into a legit uncle, where I started to have that kind of debate, internal debate, and now I'm actually externally articulating it. I turned into an uncle who goes, but wait, but Kuya, how how comes none of these guys are available for the West Indies more regularly? How comes? And the thing is, I'm so mindful about getting the tone of this right. So actually, I shouldn't start like that. I shouldn't start like this. What I should start with is saying every single one of our T20 stars has the right to go and earn their bread. Every single one of them has the right to go and make coin. Every single one of them has the right to go and twerk. I can't deny any of that. And if I was in their position, maybe I'd do the same to some extent. So this isn't about denying any player the right to bank and make coin and establish generational wealth for themselves and every generation to come. It all makes sense. But looking at the context of West Indian, I guess in this context, the test side, and for some of these players, the ODI side, I just started thinking, but wait, is there any other cricketing full member nation whose top players, and when I use the word top, I use it loosely, but in this context, I mean players who would benefit all formats of West Indies cricket if available? Is there any other nation, full member nation, whose players regularly cite I've got personal reasons, I'm not available for selection. Actually, I'm going to go play this T20 tournament, I'm not available for selection. Yeah, I'm just not available, no reason provided. Is there any other nation that does this as regularly as the West Indies? And I'm not blaming administration. Some of you will say it is administration's fault. They've treated the players badly in the past, and this is why we are where we are. But I've stopped looking at administration since about 2019. I've stopped looking at administration and saying, it's their fault. Since 2019, 2018, 2019, a clear argument can be made that the Cricket West Indies higher heads have tried their best to meet pretty much every West Indian player halfway and try to find that common ground between go eat your food, go make them go make a money, go eat a food, but please also make yourself available for the West Indies when we need you. And they've tried hard to they've not done the Pakistan thing or the India thing where it's like no NOC slavery thing. You're not going anywhere. They've not done that. Restriction of trade and all that, and not discounting. They've not done that. They've even in the last year offered multi-year contracts. Jaden Seals has one, Shea Hope has one, Brandon King has one. They've got a multi-year West Indies contract, and England have tried the same thing where in order to hold on to the players and stopping this kind of T20 brain drain, where brain drain is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. They've tried to say, here's multi-year contracts. Here's the financial security you need. Right? But yet still, when it's time to play for the West Indies, every single time a West Indies squad is selected, the first thing I do when I go to read the West Indies press release is I scroll all the way down to the bottom of it because I go to the part where it says such and such was unavailable for selection because such and such did not make himself available for selection because, and it's always there. Every single series, there's always at least 3 or 4 players where it's like, they're unavailable for selection. But when the T20 leagues are going on, everyone's available. You never see such and such was unavailable for the down bad Bangladesh Premier League because of personal reasons. The minute the money game is up, man are running for the money. And that doesn't mean I'm critical. Don't take this to be criticism. That's not my point. I'm not criticizing the thirst for money. I'm not criticizing the desire to up the money game. I am, however, critical of the fact that players are mysteriously, some more than others, never available for West Indies, though. And here's the thing. No one knew who any of you were before the West Indies. It's the West Indies that got your name in the limelight in the first place for the large majority of you. No one weren't picking Carl Mayers till Carl Mayers started doing stuff for the West Indies. And that's not no, again, don't take this personal. That's not me saying that Carl Mayers can't go make a food. Sorry, can't go eat a food. I'm just using him as an example to say for the majority of these players, no one knew who you were until you had performances at the international level for the West Indies. You don't get these countless T20 franchise opportunities if you're not performing at the highest international level for the West Indies. But some of the players I am critical of because as soon as they get on the T20 money train, all of a sudden they don't know who West Indies are and man have personal issues or personal problems to attend to. Where's the line? Where's the line? Before I press record on this episode, I wrote down a list of players who I believe, like I'm looking at the top tier of the players who played in any one of those number of down bad leagues in January and early February. And I've probably missed people out. I've got Puran, Hetty, Akil Hussain, Shafane Rutherford, Brandon King, Jason Holder, Rovman Powell, Alzari, I think, was somewhere, Kyle Mayers, and I've probably missed someone out. Those were like the first, Shea Hope. Shea Hope was in there. I saw Obed McCoy at one point, right? Those are just a random set of names I've called out. These times when all of these T20 leagues were going on, West Indies went to Pakistan and performed heroically to come back with a 1-1 drawn series. And I look at those players that I've just mentioned: Nicholas Puran, Shimron Hetmeyer, Akil Hussain, Shafane Rutherford, Obed McCoy, Jason Holder, Brandon King, Rovman Powell, Carl Mayers, Shea Hope, Alzari Joseph. Where's the line? Alzari really shouldn't be in that list because Alzari Joseph has made himself available for West Indies whenever, wherever. And in fairness, I didn't even have him in my squad to go to Pakistan, full stop. So I should really take someone like Alzari Joseph out. Jason Holder made it very clear about 2-3 years ago, it's time for me to up my money game. I'm going to start looking out for number one. And he made that very clear. And to be fair to Jason Holder, in the 8-9 years before he decided he's going to up his money game, he had dedicated his life and soul to being available for the West Indies as captain of the West Indies team. Once he lost the captaincy, he said money game time is up. So everyone's got their own individual story. I'm not going to try and put a blanket statement on all of them. The only blanket statement I will put on them is just, where is the line, though? Of that list, Hetty's a really good example. Hetty's a really good example for me. West Indies, to my mind, and this again, this isn't specific to. I'm using Hetty as an example, but this isn't about dragging Hetty. He's just a good example to use. I believe that the Cricket West Indies, the selectors, coaches, etc., have bent over backwards to try and reincorporate Shimron Hetmeyer back into the West Indies team. This after multiple pullouts, can't catch a plane, late for bus, all manners of different things, which Hetty, to be fair, has even alluded to himself in different interviews on different platforms, where he'll say, yeah, you know what, I really have to take a look at myself, and so on and so forth. So West Indies have still not given up on Shimron Hetmeyer. Even in spite of all the previous indiscretions, they've still tried to include him and incorporate him and so on and so forth. But you see, when like the next series comes, and if and when Hetty goes, oh yeah, I'm not available, like XYZ, at what point do you look at somebody like that and go, but it's always on your terms. It's always on your terms as to when you believe you can make yourself available for the West Indies. And this is where the difficult question comes in. What does West Indies mean to these players? You always hear, Santoki and I have spoken about this before. Every time one of these players gets interviewed, they say the standard line. Oh, West Indies, I'm so proud to represent the West Indies. It's playing for the West Indies at the highest, it's still the pinnacle of the game. I'm so proud to represent the West Indies. I still desire to play for West Indies. They all say the same stuff. But when push comes to shove, certain man just go, yeah, sorry, I'm unavailable. So my defense of them is this. Beyond the fact that they have the right to earn their money, my defense of them is this. If West Indies doesn't mean anything, like let's talk real now. All the kind of bullshit PR stuff, let's put that to one side. Let's talk the realness. Let's talk the realness right now. If West Indies and playing for West Indies doesn't really mean that much to you, and you'd rather just run around playing T20 leagues, say it with chess. Say it with chess. Do that. Say it with chess. Just come out with chess and say, I ain't really feeling West Indies too tough. I'll play when I say so and if I say so, but I ain't feeling the West Indies thing too tough. I want to up my money game. Just say it with chess. Just say it with chess. And you know what? I wouldn't care, because I would respect whichever player did that to say, cool, at least they're up front with it. At least they're up front with it. They want to make that P. And I wouldn't like it, but I'd accept it and I'd respect it for it being truthful. Right now, though, I look at certain man and I'm like, nah, but I said it on the live show on Monday when I did the call-in show. I'm looking at certain man and I'm thinking, no, but you're taking the West Indies for a slag. You're taking West Indies for a side piece, for a side thing. You will dip in when you want, get a little wet ting, and then dip out again. That's how certain men are moving. And at some point, you have to say to yourself, well, hold on, you're taking the piss. You're taking the piss. Now, and this is why I'm conflicted, because a lot of the uncles who are probably watching this will jump into the comments and they'll be like, but I was saying this from time, and this all started with Chris Gale and Darren and DJ Bravo and Pollard, and they'll get in and they'll go on and just bring up history. But I'm not really on that, because when Gale, Bravo, Pollard, Dre, Sunil Narayan, let's just take them 5 man as an example. When it was all happening with them, man, the board was trying to fight them down at the same time. So whenever I look at the Chris Gale era, I'm always like, yeah, them man ran off to go play some T20 cricket, but they were getting a fight down under Dave Cameron's leadership. They were getting a clear fight down going on. This next generation, no one ain't fighting them down. Internally, Cricket West Indies ain't fighting them down. If anything, they're saying, yeah, come through. You ready now? Okay, cool. Come into the squad. Oh, you're not ready. Okay, cool. We'll call you up the next time. Oh, personal reasons. Okay, cool. What about next time? Oh, you're not available? Okay, cool. Next time. Oh, you're available. Come back in. It can't run like that. It can't run like that. And it puts us as fans in a bit of a awful. No, sorry, I can't talk about you lot. Let me talk about myself. It puts me as a fan in a weird quandary. Because on one hand, I look at like certain squads that get selected for the West Indies, and I'll come on this show and I'll be like, yeah, them man are gonna lose because it's not our best squad. But the best players don't make themselves available on a frequent basis. Let me stick it on it like this: Shai Hope, when are you going to play Test cricket again? And if you have no intention of playing Test cricket again, and I like Shai, and I want to stress to people, none of what I'm saying is personal about any player. I spoke to Shai Hope in Antigua at the back end of last year, did an interview with Shai Hope for TalkSport. I think Shai Hope is a stand-up guy. I've got so much time for Shai Hope. But if we're talking frankly, without the kind of professional hat on, and it was a brethren thing, I would say to Shai, but Shai, do you want to play Test cricket again for the West Indies? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, make yourself available. No equivocations, no excuse making, make yourself available. And that same question goes for Nicholas Pooran for ODI cricket. Do you want to play ODI cricket for the West Indies? Yes or no? The last 2 years have shown me that you don't want to because you've not made yourself available. But when the World Cup comes around in 2027, you're going to probably be back. If we're in the World Cup qualifiers, you're probably going to come back. But is that right? Is that right? It can't be on a your terms thing. It can't, I mean, it will be, but it shouldn't be, and it can't be. So what does West Indies mean to people? Yes, they're not your boss. And in fairness to Pooran, he don't have a central contract. Hetty don't have a central contract. Lots of these guys I'm mentioning, they don't have central contracts. So they can come and go as they please. So they can rightly watch this episode and say, shut up, stink London, man. I don't even have a contract with the West Indies. I can do what I want. And they're right. It goes back to the central premise of what I said. So what's the point of West Indies in 2025 then? What does West Indies mean in 2025? To the up-and-coming cricketer, I think, I don't want to say this, but this is what I feel it is. This is what I feel it really is for West Indies in even for current players who are in West Indies teams right now. This is what I think it really is right now. This is what West Indies means in 2025 for the average cricketer in the region. And I know I'm going to catch pelters. I know a couple men going to come in off a long run and pelt a ball at my head in the comments. But this is what West Indies means in 2025. Stat for the average cricketer. I am from insert island. I want to play for the West Indies. It's always been my dream to play for the West Indies. I believe that to be true. I believe 99% of all cricketers in the region, that is their dream as a young you. My dream is to play for the West Indies. I hope I make an international debut for the West Indies. Oh, snap. I've made an international debut for the West Indies. This has been a lifelong dream of mine. I think that is true for 99% of the region. I genuinely believe that is true. And then this is where it starts to differ. I've now made my debut for the West Indies. I'm going to try and perform as well as I can so I can get noticed by every single franchise league in the world. As soon as I get noticed, I'm going to not sign a contract anymore, and I'm going to go and make money in all of the leagues I can make money on. And I'll tell West Indies when I'm available, because right now my priority is to make as much money as I possibly can for me, for my family, for my community, for my generational wealth. And West Indies, thanks for everything you've done for me, but I'll tell you from now on when I'm available. That's what I think it is. Which brings me full circle back to the question at the start of the show. Who's proud to be West Indian? What does the West Indies mean in 2025? Is it a concept which is redundant in 2025? Does the average cricketer even really want to play for the West Indies in the truest sense of playing for the West Indies? Or is it, yeah, I still want to play for the West Indies, but here's the caveat. Where's the line, people? And in fairness, I'm talking in the concept of being on a media outlet, but also with the emotional mindset of a fan. I've been supporting this team since I was a young youth. I've been supporting the West Indies cricket team and all its iterations since I was a young youth. I've watched bare iterations of the West Indies team. And in big 2025, for the first time proper, in all my years of watching the West Indies, I'm like, do some of these men even genuinely care about the concept of being West Indian? Is it even a valid concept? This isn't about digging out the players. Remember, I've said it all the way through the episode. They all have a right to earn their money and eat a big food. All I'm asking is, where is the line? Shea Hope's now in his 30s. Brandon King is in his 30s. Nicholas Pooran's 29. Between the three of them, none of them have played a test match since 2021. Pooran's never played any. King's never played any. Shea Hope ain't played one since 2021. How does that even make sense? How does that even make sense? And at what point do you look at the players and go, yeah, but do you want to? Do you even want to play test cricket? And if you don't, openly say so. Don't take us on a merry-go ride. Just say it blunt. I'm not interested. And you see, the next time any one of you, not just Pooran King or Hope or Adin Hetty, Adin Rutherford, Adin Mayers, whoever, the next time any one of you do an interview saying, yeah, I really hope to play for the West Indies cricket team, well, show it then. The test team I'm talking about. Show it then. Show it. Here's a challenge. As I record this, we're currently in round 3 of the West Indies Championship. Okay. Obviously, some of you, man, that I've just mentioned are going off to the IPL. But later on in March and April, there's more rounds of the West Indies Championship. If some of you, man, aren't going to the PSL or IPL, you're going to play some West Indies Championship then. Because if you really wanted to play West Indies Test cricket, you'd make yourself available for that. Listen, let me just stop there. Let me stop there because I already know the type of people that are going to get in the comments below, and I already know the type of people that are going to misunderstand what I'm saying. But just know this: when I look round world cricket at all of the other international sides, we are the only one who constantly and consistently cannot get all of our players to stay 100% committed across the formats. Every single series, somebody says, yeah, I'm unavailable. And that unavailability can be legit. But we are the only team where I consistently see it, where we consistently can't pick whatever people believe our best team to be because man are somewhere else in the world. How do we change it, people? Can we change it? Or are we talking about a redundant concept that just doesn't mean as much to the current iteration of cricketers as it once did? I don't know. I ain't got the answers on this one. I know I wanted to talk about it though. Listen, I'll be Machel St. Patrick here, one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe on all the different social media apps. Those of you who don't know the Caribbean Cricket Podcast already, you don't know. X, Instagram, Facebook, OnlyFans, Snapchat, TikTok, Blue Sky, Discord. What am I missing? All of the different handles, we're on them. Go find us. Just type in Caribbean Cricket Podcast, or usually it's hyphenated down to Carib, or it's at Carib Cricket. If you'd like to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, head to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. Any little bit helps and counts to keep the show on the road and to get content like this. You won't see it anywhere else. You won't, or you might see it somewhere else, but only after we've done it first. And you won't see it discussed like us, but you'll see people steal the concept and the idea and present it in their own way. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here, one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. We got more stuff coming later this week. Look out for it. See you soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.